you usually get the inside the Yakuza, the gang. Let's see.
This program contains images and videos of extreme violence and offensive language that may be hard to watch. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. January 8th, 2025. An alleged Yakuza leader pleaded guilty to conspiring with a network of associates to traffic nuclear weapons and 500 kilograms of meth and heroin to distribute in the Empire State. Since 2018, the Yakuza hadn't been making waves in the US. But in 2019, an undercover DEA agent was introduced to Takashi Ebisawa's international crime network that spanned Japan, Myanmar, Thailand, Sri Lanka, and the United States.
The Yakuza are ruthless, and they are killers.
They allegedly tried to hire undercover drug agents to kill the rival gangster with a rocket launcher.
The Yakuza is Goldman Sachs with guns.
One of the words for Yakuza is actually Boryoku-dan, and Boryoku means violent, and Dan refers to gangs, so violent gangs. That's in their subject heading.
Within this crime network, Ebisawa was negotiating large-scale narcotics and weapons transactions with clients he would soon find out weren't who he thought they were.
The Department of Justice announced that the DEA had collared a Yakuza boss down in Thailand who was trying to buy surface-to-air missiles. And he was also going to move drugs into the United States. And he was offering to sell radioactive material to U.S. agents, although he didn't know they were U.S. agents.
How the hell did he get access to that?
It takes a global effort of law enforcement agencies around the world to target these transnational criminal organizations and to stop the proliferation of the nuclear materials.
While the Justice Department patted themselves on the back for foiling one of the largest crime syndicate's nuclear trafficking plans, critics have come forward saying this might be a groupie of the Yakuza, using their name to give him status. But why would someone do that?
The Yakuza are one of the Earth's great sets of organized crime syndicates.
I can understand why you would want to pass yourself off as a Yakuza. People think you're cool. They treat you with some awe, you've intimidated them.
There's a reason they haven't been in the headlines since 2018. They're hiding in plain sight in our casinos, hotels, daycares, car distributors. They touch almost every part of the American consumer. Taking down one guy is just the tip of the iceberg.
As an American, I know the Yakuza is very powerful. They have a lot of money, weapons. They run shit.
Japanese prostitution industry need women from overseas. And the Yakuza are the major force behind really the beginnings of the East Asian sex trade.
We often think of Mount Fuji, the cherry blossoms, the Hokkaido Snow Festival, the bullet trains. But then on the other side of all of this, you have the underworld. And in Japan, just like anywhere else, it has organized crime that is part of the structure.
Nobody's organized like the Yakuza. No organized crime has been around for 400 years.
Nah, that's crazy. What the fuck kind of shit is this?
The Yakuza have.
The Yakuza's origins are shrouded in mystery and also a little bit of myth.
From what has been passed down, the Yakuza started off as an edge-of-society group of gamblers that operated as the equivalent of the entertainment industry for Japan during the late 1800s.
The Yakuza are descended from medieval bands of gamblers and peddlers on the great trunk roads of ancient Japan.
Yakuza is a losing hand in gambling. It's the opposite of Yahtzee, right? You're calling us losers, but we're going to take that loser and make it our own power.
The beginnings of the Yakuza, I would go to the Meiji era, which was started in about 1868. Ultimately, the Yakuza, or what became them, got a real juice from the democratization of Japan.
When Japan created its new democracy and introduced political parties, the idea of needing protection started cropping up. The Yakuza were ripe for the job.
Over time, and just by nature, this is something at the edge of decent society.
By the 1900s, the Yakuza settles into this role of protection for political parties by any means necessary.
They were established to the point that the government actually saw the Yakuza groups as a way to help the government maintain stability in this newly democratic Japan.
This gave the Yakuza a sense of pride and a vigilante mindset.
Yakuza called themselves Ninkyo Dantai, and that means courteous and honorable and generous.
To stand by the weak, to fight against the powerful.
The Yakuza don't like to be called violent people, having some sort of a code of behavior, a moral code. That's how they like to see themselves.
Just handle business.
Framed as one of their moral codes, the Yakuza uses crisis relief as a way to give back, but also build loyalty. After the 2011 tsunami, the Yakuza went viral for being the first on the scene, opening their offices to the people whose homes had been destroyed. The locals even stated the Yakuza reacted quicker than the government.
To quickly gather 4,000, 5,000 decontamination workers in Fukushima, you need to do it the traditional way, using the Yakuza.
By the late 1950s, the Yakuza increases its numbers to 184,000 and dividing into 5,200 gangs or cells throughout the country.
They call themselves a society or an organization which has a very structured hierarchy. Oyabun is the leader of a Yakuza. And then they all have an underboss. They all have captains or cell leaders that go out and recruit their own people and operate a different part of a city. The four biggest Yakuza groups would be the Yamaguchi-gumi, the Sumiyoshi Kai, the Inagawa Kai, and then the Kobe Yamaguchi-gumi.
In 1950, the CIA launches the first mind control operation to combat the Soviet Union and Chinese interrogation, called Project Bluebird.
That was real.
The Americans bring in a Yakuza boss turned CIA asset to activate this operation.
Yoshio Kodama was one of the most notorious power brokers to emerge out of post-war Japan.
Kodama, also referenced as the 20th century Yakuza godfather, he was described as a man that could get any job done.
Japanese do things.
The research entails mind control and memory loss, using LSD, hypnosis, electroshock therapy, and sensory deprivation. To do this, they need two things: people and drugs. The CIA uses Kodama's Yakuza connections to secure illegal drugs and classified research materials through Japan's ports, and also clueless test subjects.
There was this combination of the Yakuza, the Japanese government that had been restarted after World War II, and the US government, the US military, and also the CIA, who were operating together.
The reason the Yakuza are such a great asset to use for warfare is because of their diligence and loyalty.
And they're secretive.
For people that fall out of line, there are limb-losing consequences.
The tradition that is called yubitsume, finger cutting.
It was a historic methodology of how to apologize to the boss.
A Yakuza member, what he does is that he will be on his knee. he will cut a piece of his pinky finger and put it in a cloth, and he would present it to the Oyabun and ask for forgiveness.
Great importance has been attached to this. I've been in gang headquarters that had the pinkies preserved in formaldehyde.
If the Oyabun, or leader, accepts the bit of finger, it symbolizes him accepting the apology.
But next time, that might not be the case. Next time, if you screw up again, they might just, execute you, okay? And when I mean death, it's not by a gun, it's by a sword, okay?
What the fuck?
And they'll chop you in half.
If you become unloyal, like talking to the police or talking to another Yakuza organization, then you're looked upon as an enemy. Because loyalty means everything in Japan.
Based on their strict code of ethics and loyalty, the Yakuza can pull off power grabs without anyone breaking rank.
The largest stock brokerage firm in the world, now linked to gangsters.
Similar to how the Mafia in New York takes over Wall Street, Yakuza during the bubble era does the same thing in Japan.
During the bubble era, which was the late 80s into the very early 90s, the Yakuza were the subject of many newspaper articles, TV shows, and you couldn't miss them.
The Yakuza was at the top of their game when the economy came crashing down in Japan in 1990.
The stock exchange has halved its value in a year.
And with the economy went all their income from real estate, the stock market, and extorting corporate businesses.
The meltdown in Japan, the world's second largest economy, could bring financial turmoil right across the globe.
With Japan in financial ruin, the Yakuza expands operations overseas. The Yakuza pivots from the corporate world to the drug trade, something they've historically avoided.
The Yakuza moves into the drug trade because it's a huge revenue source, especially with crystal methamphetamine. They figured out how they could manufacture crystal meth in Asia and sell it for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Hawaii was ripe for the Yakuza drug business, and they pounced at the opportunity to take it over. This was the first of many states they would operate in.
The location of Hawaii makes it a stepping stone to potentially a multitude of areas in the United States. Plus, there are a lot of Asian Americans and there's a lot of Japanese tourists. So the Yakuza operating in Hawaii, you almost look like a local person, or you could be a tourist. You wouldn't really know what they're doing.
During the early 90s, the Yakuza bring in millions of dollars worth of meth, or ice, as they call it.
Sometimes the U.S. Customs and Immigration at the airport would see these heavily tattooed individuals from Japan with a missing finger or two, and they knew they were Yakuza.
After one arrest in the 80s of a Japanese national with 50 pounds of meth on him, the FBI keeps a watchful eye over the drug trade between Japan and Hawaii.
There was this FBI operation in the early 90s called Operation Tropical Storm.
This is one investigation. We have others that we, for obvious reasons, can't talk about right now. We will be able to be in a better position to know the exact extent of Asian organized crime activity here in the United States.
To infiltrate the Yakuza, the FBI needs someone that can pass as a Yakuza member.
はじめまして、私の名前は佐藤さんです。And that means nice to meet you. My name is Sato. Jimmy Sato was my undercover name when I was the undercover agent in Operation Tropical Storm. Since I'm half Japanese and I speak fluent Japanese, I was portraying myself as a Japanese American who is doing drug trafficking.
Using his persona, He learns the Yakuza business from the inside out.
We wanted to see how this person was bringing in the crystal meth, who he worked for, and what I learned was they put it in the
Dude, that's crazy. Going undercover with the Yakuza.
middle of Japanese miso soup.
Miso soup. Ooh, that's smart.
You can put something in the middle of miso. Nobody can see it or smell it.
With extensive surveillance, James, now Jimmy, figures out who is at the top of the operation and gets a wiretap for Misuyo Yoshimura.
And finally, on my recording device, I got him to talk about a 10 to 20 kilo deal. That was enough evidence to get them charged.
Damn.
And they were so shocked to see that I was an FBI agent. They were pissed off.
Operation Tropical Storm ends with the FBI taking down multiple high-ranking Yakuza members and a Yakuza boss in 1993.
You know, it's not to say that it put them out of business at all, because they actually got much stronger in the years after that.
He slams, he shoots, he scores!
As the Yakuza settles down on American soil in the 90s, they see the potential to take their schemes of money laundering through corporate businesses to the American sports franchises.
That's crazy.
There is no greater theater than sports.
Allegedly, putting up $50 million to be able to buy an NHL franchise, they're operating at a level that no street gang in America can really comprehend.
But for some reason, in the 1990s, the Japanese took an interest in ice hockey. They got involved with the Tampa Bay Lightning, which wasn't very good back then.
2 minutes remaining in the third, Lightning trailing 3-0.
There was a period of time in the mid to late 1990s when the franchise was in a horrific financial condition. Only interested in finding financing.
Like a shark, the Yakuza can smell blood in the water where there's financial instability, and the Tampa Bay Lightning were bleeding.
Being associated with Japanese organized crime, it's putting a match to gasoline. Everybody was all over the story.
Word on the street is that
No way that's true, though.
the Yakuza were using the Tampa Bay Lightning to clean their drug money.
Oh, yep, it is.
These Yakuza rumors, the idea that our hockey team here in Florida would be owned by this mysterious Japanese crime boss who nobody had met, there's no possible way.
It turned out it was a different type of bad play. But the sale of the Tampa Bay Lightning is all but wrapped up.
By 1998, and $120 million later, the Tampa Bay Lightning was forced to find new owners, and the alleged Yakuza owners were able to get out without getting their hands dirty.
This story has to rank up there amongst the all-time most what the headline stories I've ever come across. Just, wow, the team could have been owned by a Yakuza boss, and the NHL may or may not have known.
Well, technically it was.
That is insane.
For decades, the Japanese crime boss was a thing in movies to Americans. But when they show up in headlines on American soil, people couldn't stop writing about the masked men in suits and covered in tattoos.
To the extent there's a popular conception of the Yakuza, you know, it comes from pop culture, computer games, manga.
Yakuza in Japan versus how we see them, you know, we see the movie version of them. And the Yakuza is cool with that too. They want you to see that image of them.
A lot of these were caricatures. The most common images of the Yakuza are the tattoos and missing fingers. Now, the tattoos, you ever see a full-body Yakuza, you know, they're from neck to ankle.
While the full-body tats look menacing, there's a lot more that goes into this body armor.
The Japanese tattoo gets referred to as irezumi. Irezumi, I believe, originally was actually punishment tattoos. If you committed a crime, they would tattoo a band around your arm. And for severe criminals, they would actually tattoo the kanji for dog on their forehead. But the people who had these tattoos would a lot of times extend from that band up their arm. You either slither away and live in shame, or you gain power from that. And so I could see that in any gang kind of culture where that becomes a badge of honor almost. Like, if you don't have those stripes, I don't trust you. A lot of artists in Japan now don't really like the term irezumi. They find it old and kind of disrespectful. Horimono is a little bit more modern term, hori being carved, and mono as in kimono, so the bodysuit, which is basically the under kimono of your kimono.
The tattoos symbolize a sense of pride and authority, and their threshold for pain.
And they have done it the old-fashioned way. Very painful, dot by dot, with a hot instrument.
Tebori is hand tattooing in Japan. Every time you strike, it leaves a mark, and every mark counts. When you can hear your skin pop, that's real. What are Yakuza? They took that tattoo as their own and utilized it as a tool for the business of crime.
The Yakuza are pros at taking something and making it their own, bigger and better.
We want to warn you that some of the footage you're about to see is quite graphic.
Are you ready? Let's get it on!
Let's get it on!
Oh, he's so nice.
The ultimate fighter. The future is here.
After taking off in 1993, the UFC was gaining momentum.
Oh, my elbows!
So much so, it lands on a politician, John McCain's desk.
A lot of politicians during that time viewed it as human cockfighting.
But repeatedly getting smashed in the face with a guy sitting on top of him, that's not a sport. That's a throwback to the Roman Colosseum.
After watching the human cockfight, McCain leads a campaign to ban MMA. And within a few months, cable providers start to drop the UFC. With a hole in the market for the audience of UFC, the Yakuza see a way to bring American fandom east.
We're coming to you live from the Tokyo Dome. Welcome to the Pride Fighting Championships #1.
Pride FC would be a tremendous asset for any criminal organization. It's a buy one, get one. You're getting a front of a legal business, and you're also getting an opportunity to be able to dispose of currency that comes from illicit activities.
In the US, MMA is a problem. In Japan, it's a spectacle.
Pyro, the entrances. They have this iconic announcer.
Stadiums with over 90,000 people to watch gladiators go absolutely crazy on one another.
These are goated.
Violence, violence, and more violence. You could soccer punt, headbutt.
Basically everything goes.
There's never been a greater show than Pride FC.
The hype didn't grow on its own. It was fed 50 million yen from Yakuza-turned-businessman Hiromichi Momose.
Hiromichi Momose is also known as the Phantom of Pride. The money that he generated got the promotion off the ground. Now, where he got that early funding, I think we could connect the dots. We know about his ties to the Yakuza.
The Phantom of Pride has a silent but deadly influence behind the scenes. It feels dangerous, but you want to know what happens. You want to see, is he gonna influence another fighter to throw a fight? Is he, telling the ref to call it done when it really isn't? There was so much controversy around his influence, and you had to beg the question, who the hell is that, and why is he so important?
Every phantom needs a mask, and for Pride FC, that mask has a name. Naoto Morishita.
The Yakuza have managed to combine their efforts with legitimate-seeming Japanese elites. If that's who's fronting for you, well, it looks good. They spot the opportunities and sometimes front money for somebody with a good idea. And once they've done that, you can never get rid of them.
On the surface, Pride FC is bags of clean cash, bright lights, and high-octane fights. But backstage, rival Yakuza crews smell blood, and they want their cut.
And a lot of entertainment and sport entities, when you peel back some layers, there's dark clouds there.
Sometimes there is violence between the groups. If one group goes to another group's area, that's an infiltration.
If you screw over the Yakuza,
Oh shit, they'll let you know.
you die a horrible death. They want to make sure that your death is public and is violent, and it sends a message: never ever mess with them.
It's no different for the Phantom of Pride's frontman, Naoto Morishita. On January 9th, 2003, he suspiciously takes his own life, just hours after he announced the future of Pride.
Anytime you have a guy that does a press conference be so enthusiastic about the future of the company, to then mysteriously die in a hotel room hours later, you don't need evidence to really understand what is going on.
We know that the Japanese do commit suicide in larger numbers than most other people. And one does attribute that to embarrassment, but also shame. But generally, when you hear that somebody in the Yakuza world has committed suicide, you do have to have some immediate doubts about this.
Morishita's suicide rattles the fight world, and tabloids pull back the curtain on Pride. Over the next few years, exposés are released, connecting Pride FC to the Yakuza.
Pride begins to tail off when Morishita is found dead because you don't have the guy that is the brains behind the operation. And then you have a power struggle between rival Yakuzas, because now it's me who wants to be the ringleader.
The Yakuza rumors come to a head. In 2006, one of Japan's biggest networks, Fuji TV, drops its deal with Pride FC.
If you're not going to have it be televised, you're essentially just dying a slow death.
Across the pond, the UFC senses collapse and takes Pride off the market for less than $70 million. The hype lasts 7 months, and Pride finally dies.
I don't think the UFC wanted any of that smoke with the Yakuza.
As long as there is MMA, Pride is going to live on forever. They combine sport, fighting, and entertainment into one big conglomerate.
On the one hand, the Yakuza loses their grip on Pride FC. On the other, it tightens its hold on a darker form of entertainment.
The entertainment world could be used by the Yakuza as a front for human trafficking. And that could look a lot of ways. The sex industry is one of the most lucrative. A hostess club, in my experience, is a club where girls are employed by the bar to sell more alcohol, and also that can carry over into sexual services.
The Japanese prostitution industry need women from overseas. And the Yakuza are the major force behind really the beginnings of the East Asian sex trade.
When it comes to human trafficking, I would say that the Yakuza could be one of the top 5 in the world.
Young, beautiful American women are lured to Japan to model, to sing, to dance. The catch? Sex for sale.
Human trafficking is a $1 trillion business.
This sex empire would rank 4th if put on the Fortune 500 list.
You talk about the Yakuza, they're probably the upper echelon of human trafficking. And they work with all the other organized crime groups. The Chinese does theirs, the Russians do theirs, the Armenians do theirs, and in the end, they all intertwine. Why? Because in Japan, the clientele, they like Russian girls. They like American women. So people that human traffic from here in the U.S. or Russia will, bring them the women they want.
Trafficking humans is also easier than shipping drugs, and the payoff is bigger.
What is the best cargo? Humans. If a cargo shipment comes in and say there's 10 law enforcement officers from Border...
Dude, I'll be saying the same thing. I'm like, there's way too many cargoes sometimes. I'm like, there's got to be humans in there.
Control, and you open a container, and there's like 400 people in there, and they tick off 400 directions. Who you gonna go after?
And that human paycheck is huge.
If they know that their family in the U.S. or wherever has money, they can extort them for more money. And if she's a virgin, she's worth $500,000. I could go on the black web and raffle her off. Same thing with children.
However, to supply the demand of exotic women, the Yakuza must go outside of Japan to bring other ethnicities to their country.
They're going to have recruiters in the U.S. looking for these women, black, white, Hispanic, because those are more exotic, and they can bring those over and demand a higher fee for their service.
A 21-year-old, Marcela Loaiza, is dancing at the nightclub she works for when a shadowy guy named Pipo approaches her. Pipo, posing as a talent scout, offers Marcela work internationally. Marcela declines, but Pipo leaves his business card to contact him. A couple of months later, out of a job and needing money to treat her daughter's asthma, Marcela calls Pipo. Immediately, he covers her daughter's healthcare bills, gets her a passport made, and sets up her travel to Japan.
She's a young female who's recruited out of Colombia to take on what's perceived as a good job or a lucrative job in Japan, dancing or providing entertainment.
Upon her arrival to Japan, Marcela's hell begins.
She ends up being connected to the Yakuza, who provides her with the job.
The Yakuza immediately take her passport.
They also give her a debt for getting her there that she has to work off. I think that debt was roughly $50,000.
The Yakuza are big players in human trafficking for the sex business and in enforcing the so-called contracts with these victims.
They give Marcela a blonde wig and blue contacts, then force her into the streets of Tokyo.
The chances of you recovering a victim is very 0 to none. If you don't recover that victim in the first 24 to 48 hours, that victim is gone. After that victim is sold, after they do whatever they're gonna do to him or her, they kill him, and you'll never find them.
Marcela works 7 days a week, serving up to 20 clients a day, with a pimp monitoring her every move. Marcela isn't alone in this twisted world. She's also sharing a 3-bedroom apartment with numerous women from the Philippines, Russia, China, Mexico, and Peru. This is a business for the Yakuza. Everyone has a price on their head.
Adults are usually female. Of course, they do also kidnap male. Children, doesn't matter if they're male or female, basically kidnap them and bring them over for slavery.
For 18 months, Marcela is in the streets day in and day out on a diet of tuna, hard-boiled eggs, rice, and energy drinks. After nearly 2 years, Marcela realizes she might die from this torture and confides in a longtime client that she's been kidnapped by the Yakuza. He eventually agrees to help her get out of Tokyo. He has her walk to a McDonald's with him, and she ducks into the toilets, where he stashed a change of clothes to disguise her. She boards a train and heads for the Colombian embassy. The embassy secures her a passport and books a trip back to her family. When she arrives home, she's a shell of a person, with her hair and teeth falling out from the malnutrition.
The sad thing is, whether that happened in Japan, or that happened in Moldova, or that happened in Los Angeles, it's a very similar story all across the world.
W to that guy who got her out, though. Even though he was a client, he got her out. I mean, W.
Yoshi Osuri, a sugar dating club owner from Tokyo, Shinagawa, was taken down on April 4th of 2024 on suspicion of running a brothel of Japanese women out of New York City and Washington, D.C.
So it comes down to the demands and supply. A lot of the prostitution houses in the U.S., the ones that I worked on, you might go to one house that's all Hispanic women. You go to another house that's all Asian women. In West LA, there are numerous prostitution houses in these high-rise apartments where every floor has a prostitute.
Police suspect Osui was contacting victims through the website Takasugi Charme, translated from Japanese into working away from home.
What?
Which is a frequent tactic the Yakuza employ on victims like Marcella.
And they're transported from Japan to New York or Canada or whatever, U.S. major city.
Through Osui's prostitution ring, he's making $1.3 million in revenue, brokering between 200 to 300 women in the U.S., Australia, and Canada.
Japan has simply not done enough to crack down on the trade.
While the investigation is ongoing due to the volume of women Osui trafficked, this lit a fire under law enforcement to take a closer look at the human trafficking coming through the U.S. from Japan.
Japan is rated poorly by the U.S. government for its enforcement of sex trafficking laws. To this day, it's an important source of revenue for organized crime in Japan.
Along with humans, there's another imported good the Yakuza are bringing through the U.S. Customs. 2019. For months, the DEA trails a drug trafficking group out of Thailand, moving insane amounts of heroin. One of them being a guy by the name of Takashi Ebisawa.
He's a leader of the notorious Yakuza crime syndicate.
The informants tipped them off that he's looking to move multiple kilograms worth of drugs to the U.S. and that he's a Yakuza boss.
There was a lot of undercover work that went into this, a very extensive investigation involving the DEA, the U.S. government.
Infiltrating the Yakuza, or any Asian organized crime, is like working across multiple oceans.
Asian organized crime in general, what sets them aside is they're transnational. They're a crime syndicate versus some of the gangs in the U.S. is just based locally, or maybe in several different states.
Due to them being transnational, it's harder to penetrate and harder to play the part.
When I was asked to go undercover, I told my boss as well,
like, hell no.
What I need to do is establish my cover. I started hanging out at the Vietnamese coffee shops, the hostess bars, and the big thing was to throw money around, so I would leave big tips.
The bigger the bills, the more people talk.
So next thing you know, girls that work there will all know me. And every time I come in, they want to hang out with me. All these girls that work these hostess bars knows everything because these gangsters like to boast about their escapades and who they are and where they're from. So that's how I established a rapport. And basically some of these girls I was talking to later on became my confidential informant.
Oh shit.
Through careful measures and big stacks of cash, the informant is in with Ebisawa. To the DEA's shock, he tells them he has access to some big weapons.
He was offering to sell radioactive material to U.S. agents, although he didn't know they were U.S. agents.
February 4th, 2022. On a video call, Ebisawa's associates tell the DEA informant they have over 2,000 kilograms of thorium-232 and more than 100 kilograms of uranium, both highly radioactive materials, for sale.
What?
Finally, they've got him. The DEA gives the green light to bring him to U.S. soil.
They even brought him to New York City as part of the scheme, and he was also going to move drugs into the United States.
In April of 2022, Ebisawa is arrested in Manhattan during a DEA sting operation.
His name is Takeshi Ebisawa.
Takeshi Ebisawa,
the Japanese Yakuza leader.
I remember reading the charge sheet, and you realized, well, wow, this guy's about as much of a Yakuza as I am. it would be very interesting if the government had made its case a little better.
While the U.S. touted this as a huge takedown,
it takes a global effort to target these transnational criminal organizations.
Something wasn't right about Ebisawa's Yakuza ties.
They charged him with being a Yakuza boss, and yet they kept referring to the Yakuza as the Yakuza. It's about like charging someone with a crime and saying he's in the U.S. military, but you don't say what unit he's from, what service he's in, and what his rank is.
The Yakuza are so good at hierarchy, structure, ensuring that there's a chain of command.
Every Yakuza is going to have a gang. He's going to belong to a subgroup. He's going to have a position. If you don't see that, well, you really wonder, what is this guy?
The largest Boryokudan group is the Yamaguchi Gumi. They're based originally in Kobe. Everybody knows Kobe beef, right? Some good steak. The other two are the Sumiyoshi Kai and Inagawa Kai, and they handle different parts of Japan.
In fact, I'm told that the Yakuza group in the area where he's from in Japan kind of said, what? And actually asked around to see if anyone had heard of him.
Experts warn that this takedown isn't what it looks like, and there's way bigger fish to fry than Ebisawa. And that's saying a lot based on the nuclear weapons he had secured.
We're going to be selling a gold card. We're going to be putting a price on that card of about $5 million. It's going to be a route to citizenship.
The gold card policy would be a disaster. It would be an invitation not only to the Yakuza, but to organized crime members around the world to set up shop in the U.S.
You have a green card. This is a gold card. For $5 million.
Imagine that on the Statue of Liberty. Quote, they'll be wealthy.
Would a Russian oligarch be eligible for a gold card?
Yeah, possibly. Hey.
I think they're going to sell like hotcakes.
Save up.
Says Trump announces a new visa plan for wealthy foreigners for about
The
$5 million.
Yakuza is unlike any other crime syndicate, hiding in our corporate offices and bank accounts. New policy changes coming. They won't even have to hide anymore. Just fork over $5 million. Change for the Yakuza, who are worth billions.
Until this administration, the U.S. has led the world in trying to crack down on multinational organized crime.
DEA, open the door! Search warrant!
Now, with the help of this shiny new card, shit's about to get crazy for the black market.
The Trump administration is systematically dismantling the global apparatus of laws and practices. The problem with introducing
a gold card,
this kind of level of really structural corruption, of allowing the mob to join the Chamber of Commerce, it's extremely hard to get rid of. We're opening the doors to all kinds of people with suspect ties from Moscow to Tokyo.
And the Yakuza have already started finding ways in.
This new generation of gangsters, they're working for themselves. These guys aren't cutting their pinkies.
They are investing in other companies that are 100% legit, or they invest in a company where they do illegal things on the background. Human trafficking, sports betting, gambling.
Japan has approved its first ever casino. It's a $13.5 billion project now moving forward near Osaka and should open in 2029.
The Yakuza are definitely smiling at that, in my opinion. Japan has to make sure that they're not opening up new doors for global organized crime. Yakuza and others are going to be infiltrating these new properties that will be part of Japan's future.
Yakuza has been adapting their game for over 400 years, evolving to never be extinct. Even when one is exposed, there are millions of others lurking in the shadows.
They're pulling the strings in the back, but they have a normal person with a public face that's running the show. They are adapting all the time, and it really comes down to what is the easiest way to make a buck without getting caught.
So if you're worried about organized crime today, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Bye, have a great time.